Meet Angela Roberts, a passionate entrepreneur who started her car dealership from scratch in her hometown. Through sheer determination, hard work, and a vision to serve her community, Angela transformed a small lot into one of the most respected dealerships in the region. She prided herself on creating a welcoming space where customers felt valued and respected, regardless of who they were. For Angela, her dealership was more than a business. It was a symbol of her journey, resilience, and success. One busy afternoon, after attending a meeting across town, Angela stopped by her dealership to check on daily operations and greet her employees. She was excited to connect with her team and see how business was going. But what happened next would leave her stunned. Angela Roberts was the embodiment of passion and perseverance. A true entrepreneur who had built her car dealership from the ground up in her hometown, a journey marked by countless sacrifices and an unyielding dedication to her vision. Starting with nothing but a small, modest lot and a dream, she worked tirelessly day and night, navigating the challenges of securing financing, managing inventory, and establishing trust within her community. Her goal was never just to sell cars. It was to create a welcoming environment where every customer felt genuinely valued and respected, no matter their background or status. Over the years, through sheer determination and an unwavering commitment to service, Angela transformed that small lot into one of the most respected and successful dealerships in the entire region. A place known not only for its quality vehicles, but for the warmth and integrity that Angela infused into every interaction. For Angela, this dealership was more than just a business venture. It was a symbol of her resilience, her triumph over adversity, and the embodiment of her success as a Black woman breaking barriers in an industry often dominated by others. On a particularly busy afternoon, after a long meeting across town with potential partners and community leaders, Angela decided to stop by her dealership unannounced, eager to touch base with her employees, assess how operations were running, and engage directly with the people who helped keep her dream alive. She looked forward to exchanging smiles and conversations, motivated by the belief that leadership was about being present and accessible. Yet, as she stepped into the familiar showroom, the atmosphere she encountered was starkly different from what she expected. Instead of the usual greetings and energy, there was an unusual quietness, a tension that she could feel but couldn't immediately place. The smiles were forced, the usual buzz of activity seemed subdued, and the warmth she had fostered appeared to have evaporated. Angela's heart sank slightly, sensing something was amiss, but she pushed forward with optimism. However, the events that unfolded next would not only shock her, but challenge her sense of belonging and ownership in the very space she had built with her own hands, confronting her with a painful reality that no entrepreneur should have to face. As Angela entered the showroom, she immediately noticed an unusual tension in the air. The usual warm greetings from the staff were noticeably absent. When she approached the manager on duty to discuss a new shipment of vehicles, the manager barely looked at her and coldly said, "Can I help you?" with a tone that felt more like a challenge than a welcome. Angela identified herself politely, expecting the usual professional response. Instead, she was met with dismissiveness and reluctance. When she asked to review some paperwork and speak with the sales team, the manager curtly told her that all the staff were busy and that she should leave if she wasn't there to make a purchase. It felt like an invisible barrier had been put up, a refusal to acknowledge her authority or presence. Angela's heart sank as she realized this wasn't a simple misunderstanding, but a clear act of disrespect. As Angela stepped into the showroom, she immediately sensed something was off. The usual warmth and enthusiasm she was accustomed to from her staff were glaringly missing, replaced by an uncomfortable silence and guarded expressions that made her stomach twist with unease. The vibrant atmosphere that once reflected a family-like environment now felt cold and distant, as if an invisible wall had been erected between her and the people she trusted to run her business in her absence. Approaching the manager on duty, Angela expected the familiar professionalism and cordiality, but instead, the manager barely glanced her way and issued a terse, "Can I help you?" The tone sharp and challenging rather than welcoming. Angela calmly introduced herself, confident in her role as CEO and owner, anticipating a swift and respectful response. Instead, she was met with a dismissive attitude and evident reluctance to engage, which only deepened the discomfort. When she requested to review paperwork and speak with the sales team to stay connected with daily operations, the manager curtly informed her that the entire staff was occupied and suggested she leave unless she was there to make a purchase, as if she were a mere customer rather than the leader of the dealership. The sharpness of the refusal and the manager's unwillingness to recognize her authority hit Angela hard. It was more than just an unprofessional moment. It was a deliberate act of disregard that felt personal and painful. The realization dawned on her slowly but surely that this was not a simple misunderstanding or a bad day for the manager. It was a calculated move to exclude and diminish her presence in a place that was rightfully hers. Angela's heart sank as the weight of this disrespect settled over her, making her question not just the loyalty of her team, but the underlying biases that could exist even within the walls of her own company. The invisible barrier that had been erected was not just about business protocol. It was about identity, authority, and the painful experience of being marginalized despite all she had achieved. Angela decided to address the issue head-on. She calmly asked the manager why she was being treated this way in her own dealership. The manager, seemingly uncomfortable, muttered something vague about company policy and busy staff. Angela insisted that, as the owner and CEO, she had every right to be there and expected to be treated with respect. But the manager continued to stonewall her, refusing to engage properly or even recognize her authority. Other employees nearby avoided eye contact, and the atmosphere grew increasingly tense. It was clear that the manager's attitude was not just a personal slight, but reflected a deeper problem of bias and disrespect within the team. Angela knew that if she didn't act decisively, this toxic behavior could damage her businesses, reputation, and morale. Determined not to let the situation fester, Angela chose to confront the problem directly and calmly, approaching the manager with composed confidence as she asked why she was being treated with such coldness and disregard. In the very dealership she owned and had nurtured with so much effort, the manager, visibly uncomfortable and evasive, offered nothing more than vague excuses about company policy and busy staff, clearly avoiding the real issue at hand. Angela stood firm, reminding him that as the owner and CEO, she had every right to be present and to expect professional respect and courtesy, insisting that this dismissive behavior was unacceptable. Despite her reasoned approach, the manager continued to stonewall, refusing to acknowledge her position or engage in any meaningful dialogue, creating an awkward and hostile environment not only for Angela, but for the other employees present, who averted their eyes and seemed unwilling or afraid to intervene. The growing tension in the room was palpable, and Angela quickly realized this wasn't merely a personal slight or a momentary lapse in professionalism, but rather a symptom of a deeper, more troubling issue, a culture of bias and disrespect that had silently taken root within her team. She understood that if she did not take decisive action, this toxic attitude could erode the very foundation of her business, undermining employee morale, alienating loyal customers, and tarnishing the reputation she had worked so hard to build. This moment was a turning point, signaling that confronting this injustice head-on was not only necessary for her own dignity, but vital to protect the integrity and future success of her dealership. Determined to set things right, Angela requested to speak with the regional director of the company, who happened to be visiting the area that day. She calmly explained the situation and provided evidence of the manager's unprofessional conduct. The regional director immediately took the matter seriously, recognizing that denying a CEO service in her own dealership was unacceptable and damaging to the company's values. After a thorough review and conversations with other staff members, the director made the swift decision to terminate the manager's employment on the spot. The announcement sent a strong message throughout the dealership and beyond. Disrespect and bias would not be tolerated. Angela was relieved but also motivated to take further steps to ensure the workplace culture reflected respect, inclusivity, and professionalism. Determined to rectify the situation and uphold her authority, Angela reached out to the regional director of the company, who fortunately was in the area that day, and requested a meeting to discuss the troubling events at her dealership. She calmly and clearly explained the manager's dismissive and unprofessional behavior, presenting evidence and first-hand accounts that highlighted how the manager had denied her rightful service as the CEO and owner. The regional director listened attentively, immediately understanding the gravity of the issue and the damage such disrespect could inflict on both Angela personally and the company's reputation and core values. Recognizing that allowing such behavior to persist would undermine trust and morale, the director acted swiftly and decisively, conducting a thorough review that included conversations with other employees to gather a full picture of the workplace dynamics. In a firm and unequivocal move, the regional director terminated the manager's employment on the spot, sending a powerful message not only to the staff at Angela's dealership, but also throughout the company's wider network that bias, disrespect, and undermining leadership would not be tolerated under any circumstances. This immediate action brought Angela a deep sense of relief and validation, but it also fueled her determination to go further, motivating her to implement comprehensive changes aimed at fostering a workplace culture rooted in respect, inclusivity, professionalism, and mutual support, ensuring that every employee understood and embraced the values that had built the dealership's success. Following the manager's dismissal, Angela led a company-wide meeting to address the incident openly. She shared her experience with the team, emphasizing the importance of respect, equality, and unity in building a successful business. Training sessions were organized to improve customer service, diversity awareness, and leadership accountability. Angela also reached out to customers and the community to reaffirm her commitment to an inclusive and welcoming environment. Her courage to stand up against disrespect inspired employees and customers alike, turning a painful incident into an opportunity for growth and healing. This story reminds us all that no matter the obstacles, standing firm with dignity can bring about real change. For Angela, it was not just about firing one manager. It was about reclaiming her rightful place as a leader and ensuring that respect is never negotiable. After the swift dismissal of the manager, Angela took the lead in organizing a company-wide meeting to confront the incident head-on with transparency and openness, creating a safe space for dialogue where she shared her personal experience candidly with the entire team. She emphasized the foundational values that were non-negotiable in her business: respect for every individual, equality across all levels, and unity as a driving force behind sustainable success. Recognizing that one decisive action was not enough to shift deep-rooted attitudes, Angela spearheaded comprehensive training sessions designed to elevate customer service standards, increase awareness of diversity and inclusion, and enhance leadership accountability at every tier of the organization. Understanding that the dealership's reputation extended beyond its walls, she also reached out proactively to customers and the wider community through heartfelt communications that reaffirmed her unwavering commitment to fostering an environment where everyone felt welcomed, valued, and respected. Angela's bravery in standing up to disrespect, especially within her own company, became a powerful catalyst for positive transformation, inspiring employees to reflect on their own behaviors and motivating customers to continue supporting a business grounded in dignity and integrity. What started as a painful and disheartening encounter was thus transformed into an opportunity for growth, healing, and renewal, illustrating a vital lesson for all. Regardless of the obstacles, standing firm in your principles with grace and strength can catalyze meaningful and lasting change. For Angela, this moment went far beyond simply removing one problematic manager. It was about reclaiming her rightful role as a leader, sending a clear message that respect is not optional but essential, and ensuring that the culture within her dealership would never again tolerate anything less than professionalism and honor.